The sound of the roaring motorcycles echoed across the small Texas highway that cut through the endless fields. The air was thick with dust and sunlight when Ethan Cole, a retired Army medic and single father, pulled his old pickup to the side of the road. He wasn't supposed to be there that afternoon, yet fate has a strange way of placing broken souls in the same place at the same time. Two bikers, twin brothers, were speeding past him, their black helmets shining like mirrors in the bright day. Moments later, a loud explosion of metal and rubber tore through the calm. The twins had collided with a runaway truck. That was the day that changed everything for Ethan, and for the brothers who had already lost everything. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your support helps us keep telling real stories that touch hearts and remind us that hope can still rise from the ashes. Ethan Cole was a man living on the quiet edge of life. At 43, he was raising his 11-year-old daughter, Maya, in a modest farmhouse just outside Austin. The war had left scars on him, some visible, some not. He had served 2 tours as a combat medic, watching more lives slip away than he could count. After his wife died from cancer 5 years ago, Ethan had promised never to turn away from those in need again. He didn't know that promise would soon test him in ways he never imagined. When the accident happened, Ethan ran toward the wreck without thinking. He found the 2 bikers thrown off the road, both severely injured. Their leather jackets were torn, their faces bloodied, but they were still alive. Working with trembling hands, Ethan did what he knew best. He tore his shirt into bandages, stabilized their breathing, and whispered words of comfort like a soldier on a battlefield again. The ambulance came 30 minutes later, but Ethan rode with them, not leaving their side until they were safe. The twin brothers were named Mason and Ryder Gravesa, 31 years old, tattooed, rough-edged, but there was something in their eyes Ethan couldn't ignore. Days later, when he visited the hospital to check on them, a correctional officer stood by their beds. That's when Ethan learned they weren't just bikers, they were inmates from a nearby state prison, serving sentences for armed robbery and assault. They had been part of a prison work release program, transporting donated bikes for charity when the accident happened. Both were scheduled to return to prison once recovered. Ethan's heart wrestled between judgment and empathy. He could have walked away, most people would have. But when he looked at Mason struggling to speak through a damaged jaw and Ryder blinking back tears from a broken leg, something inside him softened. They didn't look like villains anymore. They looked like men who had lived with too much pain and too little forgiveness. In the weeks that followed, Ethan visited them every few days. Maya, curious and innocent, would draw little cards for theme, pictures of motorcycles, sunshine, and birds, or something to make their sterile hospital room feel human again. Slowly, the walls the twins had built around themselves began to crack. They told Ethan about their childhood, how they'd grown up in a foster home where love was a myth and anger was survival. Mason had tried to protect Ryder since they were kids, and their loyalty to each other was both their strength and their curse. One mistake during a desperate night to a robbery gone wrong had landed them behind bars for 15 years. One bright morning, Mason asked Ethan a question that stopped him cold. "You ever think about second chances, Doc?" he said softly, staring at the sun pouring through the hospital blinds. Ethan smiled faintly. "Every day," he replied. Mason nodded slowly. "We've got one last wish before they send us back. Not for freedom. Just one ride together on our bikes out there in the open, a broken bar just for a few miles." Ethan froze. The request was impossible. The prison would never allow it. But the sincerity in Mason's eyes, the quiet hope that glimmered through their pain, pierced Ethan's heart. He couldn't forget it. Over the next few weeks, Ethan made phone calls, filled out paperwork, and even met with the prison warden. At first, the request was rejected outright. "You expect me to let 2 convicted felons go on a joyride?" the warden said sternly. But Ethan didn't give up. He gathered support from the local veterans group, the community church, and even the charity program that the twins had been working for. He argued that this wasn't about rewarding criminals, so it was about restoring humanity, about showing what compassion could do. Finally, After months of persistence, the warden agreed to a heavily supervised, 1-hour supervised ride outside the prison grounds. The brothers were allowed to wear their old leather jackets again, patched and worn, but full of memories. Ethan used his own savings to repair the 2 wrecked motorcycles from the accident, spending late nights in his barn restoring them piece by piece. Maya would sit nearby, holding a flashlight as her father worked silently, the hum of tools mixing with the soft chirping of crickets. "Why do you care so much, Dad?" she asked one night. Ethan paused, wiping his hands on a rag. "Because sometimes, sweetheart, people don't need punishment, they need to remember they're still human." The day of the ride arrived under a golden Texas sun. The air smelled of oil, dust, and wildflowers. The small prison yard was lined with guards, volunteers, and a few reporters who had caught wind of the story. Mason and Ryder were brought out in handcuffs, their faces lit with disbelief as they saw their bikes standing upright again, gleaming under the sunlight. Ethan stood by the fence, his heart pounding. When the guards finally removed the cuffs, Mason touched the handlebars like a man touching freedom for the first time. "We'll bring AM back," he promised quietly. Ryder nodded, tears in his eyes. The engines roared to life, deep and powerful, echoing across the yard. As the gates opened, the 2 brothers rode out side by side, the wind hitting their faces, the horizon stretching endlessly before them. Ethan followed in his pickup, keeping a careful distance as they rode down the open road. For that 1 hour, it felt like time stopped. The twins laughed, shouted into the wind, and waved at the small crowd that had gathered along the fence. Ryder raised his hand to the sky, his face bright with something that looked like peace. Ethan watched through his windshield, his heart heavy with pride and sorrow. Then, just as the ride was nearing its end, Mason slowed down, pulling over near a quiet hill overlooking a field of sunflowers. Ethan parked behind them, stepping out as they removed their helmets. Mason's voice trembled. "There's a broken bar, this was all we wanted, man." To feel the wind one last time. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small folded note. "There's something we left behind, a message for the ones we hurt. Can you deliver it for us?" Ethan hesitated, confused. Before he could respond, Mason looked at his brother, and Ryder gave a faint smile. "Guess this is our piece," Ryder whispered. Moments later, Mason's chest tightened, his body collapsing to the ground. Ryder rushed to his side, screaming his name, but then he too clutched his chest and fell beside him. Ethan ran toward them, shouting, checking for pulses, performing CPR with trembling hands. But it was too late. Both brothers had suffered simultaneous cardiac arrests, a tragic result of undiagnosed injuries from the accident that had never fully healed. The sun dipped behind the clouds as medics arrived, but neither twin could be revived. They died together side by side, just as they had lived. The crowd fell silent, the air thick with disbelief. Even the guards who had once viewed them as nothing more than inmates stood still, heads bowed in respect. Later, Ethan sat alone in his truck, the folded note heavy in his hand. It was addressed to a family in Houstona, the victims of the robbery the twins had committed years ago. The note reads simply, "We were wrong. We took more than money that night, we took trust, peace, and safety. We can't undo it, but we've tried to give back however we can. If this letter ever reaches you, know that we found peace not in running but in finally facing who we were." Ethan delivered the letter himself a week later. The family, now older and still haunted by that night, listened quietly as he explained everything. Tears filled their eyes, but there was no anger left, only sorrow and strange relief. The father of that family placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder and said, "Thank you, Broken Bar, for giving them their last road to redemption." When Ethan returned home, he sat on his porch with Maya as the sun set over the fields. She leaned against him, whispering, "Did they find heaven, Dad?" Ethan smiled faintly, eyes glistening. "I think they found something close," he said softly. Weeks later, the story spread across the nation. The local paper called it the Ride of Redemption. Strangers began writing letters to the prison, to Ethan, and even to Maya, messages of forgiveness, second chances, and hope. The warden approved a new volunteer program for inmates, inspired by what he had witnessed that day. The twins' restored motorcycles were placed in the prison chapel, beneath a plaque that read, "For those who seek the road back." If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let the world know that even in the darkest places, light can still find a way in. And before you go, leave a comment below. Would you have fulfilled their final wish if you were in Ethan's place?